Well, I really wanted to build this, the Porsche 911 991 GT2 RS, a really track-focused special limited edition. They cost over 300,000 on the second-hand market, phenomenal bit of kit, but we don't have the livery, do we? I mean, I need the carbon roof and hood, I've got that, but then with the stripe up the middle, and we apparently don't have it. Or do we? Anyway, welcome back to the build of this very special Porsche, which is a very track-focused, limited edition and expensive car. And the advert these pictures have been taken from is down below with the full spec. We're starting with my Brabus car, which I wanted to give it more colour and life to, and apologise that it looks a bit squished because I recorded this on my laptop, which is not 16:9. The first thing I'm doing is just giving the car a carbon hood, because obviously I want to see what I'm doing, and it's already got a carbon roof. So now we have the baseline for our design. Let's go and put on the livery I want, which is the red Vista track graphics. Now the stripe obviously through the top of the car is perfect, but what about the red round the headlights, the side, the writing, the mirrors? It appears wrong, and there's no red in the game that matches that red. But hopefully you remember my video from about a year ago on making new in inverted commas liveries by using a certain website and matching your paint colour to the crew colour. It doesn't work for every livery, but it can be very useful. So let's actually put this livery on the car now, and then let's go straight into the crew colours. The hex is on the screen, and let's put in the crew colour. Just before I do, the cheap way, especially in the auto shop, of getting rid of any pearlescent is just to start again by painting classic black to make sure it's gone. And here we go, bang! That is perfect. That's giving you a really bright, vivid red, and all of the unwanted graphics, the red around the headlights, the mirrors, it's all apparently just disappeared. We now have the perfect livery for our GT2 RS. Now I will accept you can't have a blue one or a green one, you have to have the red one. But we've done it and I am so excited. So all we have to do now is nip back and actually match the parts to build the car. Starting then on the front bumpers, I got it down fairly easily to a choice of two. The endurance bumper is really good for having one central and two big side openings, but those side openings do have these obvious lights in, and I can't quite live with those. The other option is the performance bumper, where we have really big brake cooling ducts, but although they're not as big, there's no lights, so that's what I went for, performance bumper. I could see why you might go for the other. Looking around the rear of the car, I think it's always been a weak point on the Comet S2 anyway, and I'm not going to have any little side sort of canards, but if I go SR spec rear bumper here, at least I get some little slots where the other one has canards. So selecting that and moving on to the exhaust. It's very important that I have two pipes on here, so I could take turbo exhaust 1 or 2, it virtually doesn't matter. I just prefer the look of turbo exhausts 2 slightly more, but they filled it out. With the fenders, of course, this is where we want our carbon fibre parts on the front fenders, carbon front fender vents as they call them. That's an easy pick. Moving on down to, we're missing out fog lights and headlight covers. So onto the hood. Well, there are no hood catches. Although I selected carbon hood quickly at the beginning, there are two vents on the real car's hood. And this carbon vented hood is so close to what we want. Because this is a tuner DLC car, we have a lot of interior options. However, it's not a race car and we can pretty much leave it all standard. Certainly on the first 4 sections here, nothing to do. We do need a half cage, so we're going to take the street half cage for the roll bar. Unfortunately, it's not quite as comprehensive a cage as on the real car, and we are going to be stuck with having it in the body colour, and there's just nothing we can do about that. It should be a sort of silver or titanium colour on the real car. We don't need to worry about the lights. I quite like the stock ones. Livery we've done, so we're straight moving on down now to respray. So primary we've seen already is the crew colour. Secondary, You'll have seen that yellow stitching on the inside of the car, and that's because we have race yellow for the calipers, the secondary, but unfortunately that does carry through to the inside and we can't have that. So despite the fact the car has yellow calipers for real denoting the carbon ceramics, we're just going to have to downgrade the car to secondary Torino red calipers and red stitching. When it comes to the interior, there's two choices really. Either just go black and let the red stitching carry the red colour, but there is a lot more red in the car for real than not. So you could also try a Torino red interior. I do think it's perhaps a bit much though, so one or the other. We'll try the other one perhaps at the end. I've gone bright orange for the accent because that was the colour of the numbers on the dials on the photos I was looking at. Well, the roof is already okay on this car. We want the carbon roof and we don't want any roof accessories. So there we are, carbon roof. When it comes to the skirt, our choice is much reduced, and I will show you why as we start to flick through. You see these little bits of, I don't know if they're writing or what they are down here. I think they're to do with the livery that we used in some way, because they just look a bit wrong, or maybe they just are a bit wrong, I don't know. But I don't want that on any of the skirts, and I do want the thin strip of carbon. Performance skirts here, to me, look to be the best option, so we'll select those. On then to the splitters. You don't have a massive choice of splitters on the car. At the moment it's wearing the carbon race splitter. I did think about putting the canards on because we've got that big block piece up the side, but they don't seem to really look like it. But further down we have this GT splitter which does have that sort of block type piece. It is a bit big, but it is, I think, the nearest in style to what is actually on the car. So deciding in the end to go with the GT splitter. And now to finish the aero package, the spoiler. Well, we have a number of spoilers for the car. We always have the issue, of course, that some of them are a little bit wider than real spoilers would be. But we're trying to find the one that's going to give us the best in the way of supports, the end caps, the general angle and look of the wing. And if it is a little bit too wide, well, I'll just live with it. And that is the endurance wing. As far as sun strips go, I don't want any. And for suspension, down the bottom, the competition suspension gives pretty much exactly the right ride height. For wheels, I'm choosing Hyper Fresh from the street category. You can also put on the stock wheels, look, because they are in fact Hyper Fresh, painted in alloy, but we don't want alloy. So you can either paint stock wheels, which I've given some instruction on before, and that is the cheapest option. If you're being lazy like me though, you can nip into the street category and somewhere down the bottom you'll find Hyper Fresh and then select the colour of your choice. Now I initially select here Desert Tan because I wanted to put the little bit of gold in with the silver to try to make the real wheel colour. But I do believe now that was a mistake. I think it's come out too pale. So after this, I'm going to put the car back in the workshop. I'm going to have another go at the wheel colour as well as having another go at the interior. Just before I do that though, there is no tint on the windows. Okay, back in the workshop to look at these two items. I do think this is a bit much red. I don't like the way it stains the seats. So let's just go back and say black for the interior, and the fact that we have the red cage, the red stitching, that will simply have to carry the red. I think that's more tasteful. Now when it comes to the wheel colour, I don't really think we have the right colour on PC. I don't know what you might have if you're on next gen. But I do want a fairly silvery wheel, but definitely with a sort of tinge, a little tinge of browny gold colour in there, but not much. I don't think Desert Tan was really it, although that colour often works for some reason on some of the GT3 race car wheels. But if I go back through, I notice we also have straw brown here, and I think that just looks a lot more satisfying. It's still golder than the standard car wheel, but I think that works. Now obviously as you bang on through looking back towards the pale colours, stone silver is just too grey. Then we different colours through to black. The alloy is most uninspiring, as you know. So on PC certainly I am going to make a change, but it's subtle. I'm going to go with straw brown instead. Right, here we are with the final build. Bear in mind this is with the red interior and the desert tan wheels, because I did not have time to refilm this outro, even though I'd made the subtle changes. Let me know down below if you agree with me, but I really do think this car is stunning. I'm so pleased to be able to build a GT2 RS, as well as a GT3 RS, which I also have in the garage. Yeah, really thrilled, and obviously we're restricted to just this sort of bright red colour, but that's fine by me. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the build. So one more possible build for this car. Now I know I did a video a while ago, I think it was one of the manufacturer's catalogue one, with 5 or 6 builds for this car. We've seen all the different colours on the paint to sample videos, and I think I still owe you an episode 4, a final episode in fact, with those special colours. So on the channel in total there's a huge amount of stuff already for this car. I own 3 of them, and yeah, I reckon you could fill a whole garage depending on your budget and your space available, just with individual builds on this car. I really do like it. Anyway, did you like it? Because if you did, then I would really appreciate a click of that like button. It's the one thing that you can really do that helps push this channel out to a greater audience. Just saying I like it is worth a load. Obviously if you think you'll like more and more by me, well, sub as well if you're not subbed already. According to the analytics, and I know every YouTuber tells you this, but a huge percentage of my audience that watch aren't subscribed, so yeah, do that if it works for you. Otherwise it's time for me to go now. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching.